everybody, Joe with Joe Knows Cryptos here with a daily crypto video update. So let's see, today let's talk about how basically propaganda affects people and affects cryptocurrencies, and I'm going to give you hopefully some proof today, and I'm going to use it with something that's going to be predicting the future, which can possibly affect your money. Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I'm wrong. So I learned very early in life. I don't know how I got into this habit. I think when I was in school, somebody gave me one of these tickets where you can bet on the football games, and it had all the games listed for the week, and you could pick, you had to pick, I think, 5 or 10 winners. You had a choice. Of course, the more winners that you couldn't have any losers though. The more money you'd win. So if you put down, $1, you'd win 20 or whatever. The odds is so terrible. But when I was a kid, I didn't know. It's just something to do. I was probably a freshman in high school, and everybody basically would lose, and this kid would walk around and collect his dollars and never have to pay out anybody. So then I looked at something called parlays. A parlay is when you have to have at least 2 teams. You can have more teams, but the minimum is 2 teams. You have to pick both games correct out of the 2, go 2 for 2. And if you put down, say $10, normally if you put down 10, you win like 9, because the house takes 10%, right? So, but on a parlay where you pick 2 teams correctly, if you put down, your $10, you'd win something like, $24 or something like that. 25, 27, something like that. But here's one thing that people don't think about. You're betting 2 games, you got to get them both right, and you win, I think it's $27, right? So say you bet $10, that's what you had to lose, right? You put that $10 up on the first game and you won it. Now you've got $20, right? Now you put that $20 on the second game, you won $40. So you're winning more, even though it's the same bet, it's just going double or nothing. But it just makes it sound good. Oh, I only have to put up $10 to win, 27. But in reality, if you bet 2 separate games, right, and you still have that initial $10. If you lose it in the parlay, just one of those games, you lose your $10. So if you bet that $10 on 2 separate games, you still lose your $10 if you win. But if you win it, you win more. But that's just one little scam that they have in gambling that people don't think about. They think that betting parlay, oh, I can win all this money, I only have to put up a little bit. When in reality, you're better off betting each game individually and including your initial bet in the rollover. So I started gambling very young, and I showed my father this bet slip, and I wasn't doing so good in it. I had lost maybe 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and he told me that it's a scam, that it's misleading, and first of all, it's hard to pick, almost nearly impossible to pick 10 games or even 5 games. But he said what you should do is take the game, take the team you think is going to win, and bet the opposite. And that's not true in all cases. There's more scenarios to it that I'm not going to get into in this video, because sometimes you'll pick the team if they're favored. But if they're favored by too many points, you got the Patriots playing the worst team in the league, and the other team's only getting 2 points from the Patriots, right? Well, naturally, everyone's going to bet on the Patriots, and that's going to be the one game of the year that the Patriots lose, all right? Then you've got the Patriots playing a really good team that's, they have the same record, but the Patriots are favored by like 10.5 points. Well, everybody's going to bet on the other team. They may think the Patriots will win, but it'll be a close game, and those are the games that the Patriots win by 14 or 21 points. So it goes both ways. So what I'm going to do today to test my philosophy, I could be totally wrong, because I've been totally wrong, but I'm right more than I'm wrong on these. And I'm going to use the NCAA tournament. And I'm going to use today's games before. One of them is in progress right now. It's about a pretty even game. But I'm going to give you 4 games one that started at 2. Right now it's 2:42 on my clock. One starts at like 4, one starts at like 4:45, and one starts at like 9:40. So I'm going to upload this video hopefully before these games finish, just to prove that I'm right, or see if this philosophy works. The first one is going to be, and I don't have these in order, I just wrote down the game, so you're going to have to pick the times on these, check the times. But Central Florida minus 1 point. And that's a game I would pick because that line seems very suspicious. It seems like they want you to bet on the other team and not Central Florida, based on record and ranking and placement where they are in the tournament. Next one is Arizona State getting 5.5. Next one is Oregon plus 2 points. And the last one is Cal Irvine plus 3.5 points. Alright, so we got Central Florida minus 1, Arizona State plus 5, Oregon plus 2, Cal Irvine plus 3.5. Central Florida, I just know this one off the top of my head. I know that they're like ranked lower than the team that they're playing. However, they're giving a point. Sounds very suspicious to me. Let's see what happens. So they do this with cryptocurrency with the news, and I think they're going to start to do this as well. Right now, you've got a lot of people out there saying cryptocurrencies are going to go sideways. Bitcoin may even retest that $2,000 mark. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to mention real quick before I go on to this. The market dropped a little bit over the last few days, but you'll notice, here's my philosophy on why it dropped, and it didn't drop a lot. I mean, here it is coming back already, but it dropped down to 38, maybe 37 briefly, I'm not sure, but it was up in the 42, so it dropped about $4 to $5 billion. So most of the cryptocurrency dApps are what? Gambling dApps. That's why we're talking about gambling today. Most of these gambling websites, the easiest way to deposit money to gamble on them is to deposit what? Cryptocurrencies. It's instant. You can get it over there. There's no government regulation. Your bank isn't going to stop you. So I've been on these gambling websites before, and it was a whole hassle. You'd have to take a copy of your ID and send it in, and your address and your social security card, and then half the time, 99.9% of the time, the credit card company would catch that you're trying to send money to a gambling website, and they would decline it. Same thing with your bank. Big runaround. You'd have to send it Western Union sometime and pay all these fees and send it to a different name than where you were sending it, and it's just a whole ordeal. Now you go on there, the one that I use, you just select Bitcoin, Litecoin, or I think they use Bitcoin Cash, and you those three, they give you an address to send it to, bang, and 20 minutes later or less, you're up and running and ready to place your bets. So because of this, I think a lot of people who wanted to bet on the NCAA tournament, because it is a big event, it's a big gambling event, I think similar to the Super Bowl. I don't know if you add all the games that there are, it probably adds up to more money that's bet on the Super Bowl. All right, I'm just getting messages here, sorry. So I think a lot of people wanted to bet on these NCAA games, and they sent some of their cryptocurrencies over to the gambling site so they could gamble on these NCAA basketball tournament games. And naturally, that took money out of the cryptocurrency market, thus lowering the market cap, thus lowering the prices of cryptocurrencies over the last few days. I think as the tournament goes on, either the people will, more than likely, the people will have lost their money and not be putting it back into the cryptocurrency market, at least immediately, until they earn more and start to, want to replenish what they lost. And they'll kick themselves and say, oh, why did I gamble? It's so stupid. I should have just left it in my crypto, my Litecoin. I'll look at my Litecoin's up 20%, and I lost coins and I lost my bets. So yeah, so anyway, I started to talk about propaganda and how the market's been going sideways, and they're predicting Bitcoin to go down. You know, a lot of people still predicting Bitcoin to test the previous low of you know, the 3,000, but down to 2,300. And I think that's all just propaganda. I think it's ways to psych people out to not want to get into cryptocurrencies right away and not put all that money in there. You'll see the cryptocurrency market did come back. You know, all that is the smart money, the elites and those just buying up those cryptocurrencies that the people sold to get into the NCAA tournament gambling. But just keep an eye on the propaganda, guys. I'm going to keep an eye on it too, and I'm going to give you my opinion on whether I feel that the propaganda is negative or positive, and what direction it's going to go in. It's something that I kind of learned, like I said, at an early age, to kind of tell when they're full of crap, when they're over sensationalizing something or playing something down when it's ready to explode. My whole life I've kind of done this. I've also kind of gone by patterns. I actually have a funny story I'm going to tell real quick here. I think it's funny, at least. So when I was in 8th grade, I was not the best student. I would bring my books home, but I'd never really do my homework. I did just enough to get by, basically. And if I didn't need to do it and I would still pass, most of the time I just wouldn't do it. I was just a lazy student. I was very active and energetic and not lazy as far as playing sports. I played basically every sport you can play, from basketball, baseball, football, soccer, tennis. If it was available for me to play, I played it, and I practiced it if it was that time of the season, and I prepared, and I loved it, and I knew players that played similar sports, knew their statistics up and down. I was just fanatical about sports. And in 8th grade, I was, you know, naturally it was the basketball season. I was on the boys basketball team, and my grade in English was dropping, and it was actually to a point where it was a D, and they had changed the rule that year. If you had a D, you could not play any sports. So I took all my English quizzes. They were mostly vocabulary and questions, and it was a 50-question quiz that we'd have every week. And I got all the quizzes together and looked at them, and I noticed a pattern. The teacher was just as lazy as I was. We did it on the little bubble fill-in card. She would take the bubble fill-ins, put it in the machine, so it was easy for her to grade. She wouldn't have to look at every single question and grade every single test one question at a time. She could just put these bubble filled in with your number 2 pencil in the machine, and it would just spit your grade out. But she was lazy because she changed the questions, but she never changed the answer number. So on every single test, no matter what the question was fill in the bubble, you know, A, B, or C, or sometime D. Every time, question number 1, the correct answer on every quiz was B. And the correct answer to number 2, no matter what her question was, the answer was always C. And I've noticed this pattern. I noticed that she did it on every single quiz. And I memorized, or little, cheat sheet, whatever you want to call it, jotted down this pattern. And the next quiz came, and wouldn't you know it, bam, I got 100. Next quiz came, bam, I got 100. Now I was like, oh boy, I felt kind of like bad getting hundreds every time, because I figured she'd probably wise up and figure out that, hey, how's this kid getting hundreds all the times when he was a D student? So I would intentionally get, a couple wrong. And I was able to play basketball. I was happy, but I was able to see the pattern. I'm good at picking up patterns on things. And long story short, oh shit, I'm at 15 minutes here. Anyway, I told her at the end of the year, and she was so embarrassed. But guys, like, subscribe, kiss your wife or your girlfriend, hug your kids, pet your pets. Joe Knows Cryptos. God bless you. Signing off. Goodbye.